So let's say that somebody is right there with us. They can hear everything we're saying. And then they say, hey, Ron and Will, I hear you, but what's an alternative? Like, what do I do? Well, what's the alternative to where I'm at in a 401k? Like, what are these other things? What's the advantage of getting into them? Let's explain some of the advantages of, because we've talked about the EKG and we've talked about just really one product in the EKG, which is the 401k, right? Let's talk about the alternative. If somebody is in one of these vehicles that has that EKG effect, they're going up, they're going down, they don't have time, and we want to get them into a product that staircases. Explain what the staircase is, because people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, in terms of the staircase mentality, it's really trying to protect and preserve the money. There's some specific products that you can use, and sometimes this is a dirty word in the financial markets, and it's annuities. But it's specific types. Fixed index annuities are something that I would lean towards. And there's so many different available products in that field now that's changed so much that you can protect from the downside loss. That's the stair step idea, is not losing money when the markets go down, but at the same time being able to participate when the markets do well. So you can allocate your funds within those plans, have returns, but there's also abilities to have some income riders that are lumped in some of these products that you can gain increases from one year to the next, regardless of what the marketplace does. But at the same time, it might give you the ability to have that gain, and in the markets, based on how you're allocated, gain as well that year. So you get to participate in both of those events. But when the markets go down, you stay flatlined at zero, meaning that you don't go below where. So your new floor is always the following year's gain, or the current year's gain. So whenever that gain occurs, your floor can never go below that ever again. So your initial contribution to that plan can never be that starting point ever again. It's always going to be greater. We never have to worry about the downside risk of the markets. So when we're talking staircase, that's what we're talking about. It's you participate in the growth, that happens, and next year it goes down, you stay right where you are from the previous year. So trying to start over again, this is what a lot of people don't understand, is if I get a 10% rate of return one year, but then I lose 10% the next year. So if you start at $100,000 and you lose 10%, that's $10,000. You're down to $90,000 of your account balance. Well, people think the next year, okay, well, if I gain 10%, I'm right back to where I started. No, because you're now at 90,000, not 100. So 10% of 90 is now 9,000. You had a 10% gain one year, 10% loss the next year. You're still behind in that example by $1,000 from your original deposit. So if we can hedge and work around that, some of these fixed index annuities allow that capability to happen. And what they also do is they build your own pension plan. Back to what you said earlier in the conversation, pensions have kind of gone by the wayside. Well, annuities are what backs pensions. My wife is a teacher. She has a pension. They're backed by these annuities. It's what allows you to have a lifetime income stream and not worrying about outliving those funds. So these types of annuities specifically allow you to have a guaranteed income for as long as you live. If you want to take that route of income distribution, you can also decide scheduling income. If you want to take more money than that, that's your choice. So there's some flexibility there in terms of making sure how you acquire your money in retirement phase, and also not having to worry about what the markets are doing, whether it's positive or negative. That EKG to staircase mentality is really what we try to look at. When you and I are talking to people, that's really what we're trying to make sure happens, and making sure that one of the fears is not ever realized, meaning they live a long, healthy life, and now they don't have enough money to retire and keep that lifestyle because they have longevity. And that is a real concern for people. And it's something that has to be addressed and has to be looked at. And you have to think outside the box, meaning you can't just think that those types of products, 401ks, IRAs, mutual funds, are going to be that answer always, because they're just not. Can they be? Yes, because there are people that are gigantic lottery winners. You know, when it comes to the markets where they're just blessed and they just make a ton of money. But the average person, just that's not reality, because most people don't have enough money to put into the system to make the big money. You know, those that are wealthy typically make more money. Typically, people that are in middle class might hit it big, but the chances are that's probably not true. So you have to really diversify and force the action, meaning you have to force gains in some cases. And some of these products do that for you versus saying, okay, I'm putting my money in IBM or Google or whatever the stock might be and hope that that grows. I'm going to force things to happen. And so when you're wrapping this big package up with your so-called assets, diversifying is important, and diversifying not just for taxes and not just for inflation, but diversifying based on, hey, I'm really not a risk taker. I don't want to lose money. People might want to start doing something like that sooner than 55 years of age. We have to listen to what people are telling us. And I think too many people in our seats don't listen to people. They just try to push on them because of the knowledge that they have, saying this is what's best for you. Well, it might not be, because we're not listening to what they're trying to do in their life and what their goals might be. Theirs may not be the same as ours. So we have to listen. And my grandfather always taught me we have 2 ears for a reason. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. He always taught me that. You have 2 ears to listen, you have 1 mouth to speak. There's a reason why we have 2 ears. So he always taught me that from a very young age. I just think too many people in our industry don't use their ears to their advantage, and they don't listen to their clients.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad, because at the end of the day, you know, when you're talking the 10% loss with the 10% gain is still, you're still under where you started. And a lot of people don't even know the associated fees with these managed accounts, right? So it's even really less than that, because you're still paying fees on top of the loss that you already took.
Sure, regardless of what situation is, that could very well be, yes.
Yeah. So another thing that came to mind is most affluent people, most people who have who are high income earners, you know, let's say they're making, really nowadays, I mean, if we're really talking money, you know, you're making 250 to 300,000 and up. You know, if you're single and you're making 100 grand, you're making great money. If you're have children and you're making 100 grand nowadays, it's damaging. I mean, it's hard to make it, right?
Which is interesting to say that too. That's hard to believe, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how expensive life is nowadays. But like you said, we've got added expenses. Cell phones. You know, when I was a kid and I needed picked up from practice, it didn't cost my parents anything for me to make that call. I would literally make the call collect. And then when they answered the phone, they said, "Who's this speaking?" "Hey, it's Will. Come pick me up."
To accept these charges. And if you're on good grace with their parents, hopefully they said yes.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what I used to do. I used to leave the message when they said, "Say your name after the tone." So it would be, "Hey, you have a collect call from, hey, it's Will, come pick me up." Right? They didn't even give me a quarter. But
Right.
nowadays, just for kids to call home and get a ride, it costs $50 a month,
Right.
$60 a month.
Right.
So what's funny is the more affluent people in life that are making above 300,000 a year, which is really like 3 to 5% of America, which is hard to believe that only 3 to 5% of America make above 300,000 a year. They're already diversified. They know things that the average person doesn't know, that our clients don't know. Right. So that's what what we're trying to do with Financial Thirst is get the average individual into understanding that there is an alternative instead of sticking yourself somewhere where somebody puts you. Right. And like you said, one product is not right for everyone, but we're in an economy right now. We're in a corporate status with employees that work for these corporations where they say, "Hey, this is right for everybody." And we do the same thing with life insurance. When somebody says, "Hey, I've got insurance at work and it's great insurance," and it's like, "Yeah, you're in a group plan. So everybody's in the same plan." And when you leave work, you have to get something individualized for yourself. So that's good stuff.